State of Texas versus James Michael Kennedy.
Anton Hayek, but they
Yeah.
told me to move one way.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Hayek, for the record, is representing Mr. Kennedy. And are you James Michael Kennedy?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You entered a plea to the offense of assault, intentionally knowing serious bodily injury of a child by omission.
Here's the thing about that little child. She was special needs, and that's why his cap is where it is.
You entered a plea to a cap of 35 years in the prison. The state is opposing your application. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
I've had a chance to review it. I've reviewed it with my client and given him an opportunity to read it at his own pace.
Okay. All right. State, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Defense, any witnesses?
Mr. Kennedy, please.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, if you can raise your right hand for me, please.
VO1, opening and the case on the table. The judge calls. State of Texas versus James Michael Kennedy, and sets the tone immediately. This is serious. Mr. Kennedy has entered a plea to assault, resulting in serious bodily injury to a child. And the stakes are enormous. A cap of 35 years in prison is on the table. Right away, you sense the judge's courtroom persona, strict, unsentimental, and focused on facts. Quick question for viewers. When a case involves a vulnerable child, should the court show more emotion or stick to cold facts?
All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record, please.
My name is James Michael Kennedy.
All right. Counsel?
Mr. Kennedy, would you say this event with your daughter finding out about cerebral palsy and having her removed from your presence because of lack of proper nutrition was a real eye-opener to you?
It was.
He purposely starved his daughter, and you may think, why would anyone do that? And that is the defining question, as it is so far out of the bounds of what any normal person would do, that these things that hurt children are in a species of their own.
During the first 10 years of Michelle's life, did you think there was anything unusual about her not being?
VO2, the child's special needs, and the PSI. The transcript makes clear the victim is a child with cerebral palsy, a child who needs extra care. The PSI report has been reviewed by both sides. The defense asks Mr. Kennedy questions. He answers haltingly and repeatedly claims limited awareness about his daughter's condition. Dramatic reaction. You can feel how the judge and prosecutor are already skeptical of simple explanations. Engagement. If a caregiver says they didn't know, how much should that count in court?
Being able to eat solid foods. Well, other than that, she probably should have.
Given her state with cerebral palsy, I didn't know.
So for 10 years, he never talked to a doctor? Seems legit.
And the primary caretaker, Michelle, was Norma, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you live with Norma, you're not married to her.
Yes, sir.
Did Norma ever have any complaints to you about something she wasn't allowed to do for Michelle?
No, sir.
Okay. And you've read the report and you're happy with Miss, I can't do her name, Sitsu, the foster mother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I read you the expert. Do you agree with what she wrote?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And do you want the best for your daughter?
I do, yes, sir.
And you've had a hearing in CPS court on Valentine's Day where you gave an affidavit of relinquishment of your parental rights?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. So do you feel sorry for what you either did or failed to do for your daughter?
At the time, I wasn't aware, but yes, I do.
Okay.
VO3, the horrifying nutrition details. Prosecutors and the judge probe what the child was being fed. Testimony mentions Kool-Aid, milk, and Oreos, and an astonishing weight. About 27 pounds at age 10. That fact lands like a punch. This isn't a one-off lapse. This is prolonged malnourishment. Call out. The emotional stakes here are enormous. A dependent child was denied proper nutrition for years. Viewer prompt. Does ignorance excuse neglect when a child's health is deteriorating?
So you realize the judge is probably going to send you to prison.
Yes, I do.
Are you asking for something maybe in the 20-year range? as opposed to 35?
I am asking for leniency.
And leniency. And that is why I am happy that the judge that decides that is known on this channel as Vader. Leniency is not what a Vader does.
No further questions. That's a prosecutor may want to ask you something.
Mr. Kennedy, my name is Zach Dunn. I'm one of the prosecutors in the Family Violence Division. I should have a few questions for you, and some of it goes to your statements in the PSI, which is the report that the judge is looking at right now. You basically mentioned on kind of the last page of it that you really kind of didn't know or were unsure of the fact. You said you had ignorance of your daughter's condition. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth, though, correct?
I do not know.
With respect to her abilities, things she was able to do, did you notice any kind of comparison between her and other 10-year-olds?
Actually, comparison between her and when I was going through high school, I noticed that there was children that were similar.
And are you aware of how much she weighed as a 10-year-old when the police came to the residence for the first time?
I believe she was at 27 pounds, but I can't remember.
27 pounds as a 10-year-old. Does that seem normal to you or abnormal to you?
I do not know. I mean, when I remember how there were others that were her age, more or less even, and when I was going through high school, I saw that they were about.
VO4, conflicting answers, defensive vagueness. Mr. Kennedy's answers are vague. He says he left it to Norma, the primary caretaker, claims he wasn't issued an insurance card, and insists he didn't personally take the child to doctors after Aptite 20. The defense's approach, letting the defendant provide bare answers rather than shape them, only makes the confusion more apparent. Reaction. When explanations are thin and factual records contradict them, a courtroom tends to treat "I didn't know" as insufficient. Engagement. Do you think the lawyer handled the questioning well by letting the client speak freely?
All right. So the last time she saw a doctor was in 2020.
Yes, I believe so.
So did your wife, Norma, have the insurance card to take her to a doctor?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So you
Norma's
had
not
the,
his wife. They just live together.
all right. So the person you lived with, were you in a romantic relationship with them?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And were you all living together as boyfriend and girlfriend or husband and wife?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And so you left her in charge of taking care of your child?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is she the biological mother of that child?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So you didn't give her your insurance card to take her to the doctor for emergencies?
I never was issued one. Everything was done electronic.
All right. So since 2020, you never took your child to the hospital, emergency rooms, or to see a pediatrician?
Personally, I haven't. I do not know what Norma has done.
My God, this pathetic Muppet is going to get fried.
All right. Did you ever ask her, hey, she's not eating right, something's going wrong? Have you taken her to the doctor?
This will actually all happen recent, like because she got sick because of everything that happened. We took her to the hospital to Christus Santa Rosa at first. And
When was that? Was that in 2023?
yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm talking about before 2023. Unless, and if I'm wrong, correct me. And I won't take offense to you correcting me. It appears that this is something that was happening over time. Am I right? The fact that she's not gaining weight, she's not eating?
No, Your Honor. The way we were giving her nutrition over the time period from her birth until the time that she got sick was the same constant method.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden she gets sick and she lost the weight.
Oh man, this gets even better.
So what was her highest weight? Because this is saying that she was 27 pounds at 10. So before she started dropping all of the weight, what was her weight as a 10-year-old?
I believe it was either at 40 or 45 pounds.
So 45 pounds, and then all of a sudden she's at 27 pounds.
Yes, Sean.
So you didn't think to take her to the doctor when she dropped down to 30 pounds?
Is definitely the wrong answer.
I would be at work, so when I would come home, I'd always want to try to sleep
Now look at his lawyer. Gold.
or relax just before sleeping.
All right. And how far did you go in school?
VO5, medical access and missed opportunities. The judge and prosecutor drill into medical access. The child hadn't seen a doctor since 2020, despite diagnoses at birth and clear care needs later. There's also discussion about attempts to return the child to school and mask wearing during COVID, details that underline how long-term and complicated the neglect became. Dramatic weight. The back and forth shows a life unraveling slowly, not overnight. Transition. That pattern of missed medical attention becomes the backbone of the state's argument.
Her size.
At least we know one thing, and that would be that this lawyer has not coaxed his client with answers to give that will make him sound better in front of the judge. And for that, Mr. Lawyer, I tip my hat.
You're saying when you went through high school personally,
When I went through high school,
you knew of 10-year-olds that were around 20 pounds in weight, or
we went to the kitchen cafeteria, and I saw others that were rolled around in wheelchairs that were about the same size.
and what did you make of the fact that Michelle, again, a 10-year-old, was unable to speak and barely even move when the police first interacted with her coming on scene? Is that normal behavior, you think, for a 10-year-old?
I think given that she had cerebral palsy, that it was normal.
And with respect to her diet, do you think it's appropriate to feed someone Oreos, milk, and Kool-Aid to sustain their life as a 10-year-old with cerebral palsy?
Michelle could not eat solid, so she couldn't even eat Oreos.
Okay, but at the time, does it surprise you, or is it surprising to hear now that y'all's statements at the time on scene was that, again, you fed her Kool-Aid, milk, and Oreos?
It is so good to know that that leniency is coming.
At that time, given that Numa was taken to her to the doctors, and that the doctors were aware of what was going on, I thought everything was okay. Given that now I know that it's not okay, because that could have all been avoided with the surgery of a G-tube, gastrostomy tube.
You said you know about that now.
I do.
So if police had never come and CPS was never involved, what do you think the future of Michelle's life would look like? Again, at the time she weighed 27 pounds as a 10-year-old. That was a few years ago.
Well, she did lose a lot of weight due to her being sick. It wasn't due to lack of...
VO6 and a state's condemnation and defense's limited mitigation. The state bluntly argues the defendant completely disregarded the child's health for years. They point to the extreme prolonged malnourishment diagnosis. The defense urges leniency and mentions the father's stated remorse and eventual relinquishment of parental rights, but the defense can't erase the facts. Reaction call-out. This is one of those moments where the moral outrage of the prosecution meets the procedural pleas of defense, and the facts keep winning. Question: is relinquishing parental rights viewed as remorse or as a late administrative step with little mitigation value?
For school, I graduated from St. Philip's College.
Okay.
I got my certificates for aircraft and power plant.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions, defense?
No, Your Honor.
State, any other questions? All right. The court will hear argument. The state is opposed to the application. State?
Your Honor, this is an individual that
Is a piece of shit.
essentially the state doesn't believe has taken responsibility. The litany of I don't knows and I'm not sures doesn't replace the fact that you're talking about a 10-year-old who had, as the medical facility diagnosed her with, quote, extreme prolonged malnourishment. 10-year-olds are somewhere in the range of above 70 pounds. This is a 27-pound individual who, through the defendant's own words, was fed Oreos, Kool-Aid, and milk. As if being a child wasn't a vulnerable enough position to be in the world, to be diagnosed with cerebral palsy at birth and have parents that don't take you because their insurance quote has expired and knew about the well, first they knew about the diagnosis, but then they didn't know about the diagnosis, as they later said. The state would, of course, respectfully request that the court take all these factors into consideration, given how this person completely disregarded the health of a young girl for many years on end, Your Honor.
All right, defense.
This case has a certain horribleness factor, especially to me as a parent. I can't imagine not feeding your child. And this is my second sentencing on this crime in a week.
Yes.
So I didn't know that many people weren't feeding their child. In representing my client, he's basically been clueless. I've had a very difficult time getting to him to understand what he did or did not do and what he should have done or should not have done. That doesn't condone what happened to his daughter. One thing I don't understand is how she went to healthcare providers and no one noticed anything, especially on the day in which she was taken to a healthcare provider a second time, and that's when she was taken into police custody, CPS custody. Okay, and you have terminated your parental rights, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
All right, one final question. So what were you eating?
I would eat out a lot.
Okay. And did your weight ever drop at normally low?
No, Your Honor.
And how much did you weigh?
Before I was at 277.
All right. So if your weight went from 277 down to 100 pounds or 90 pounds, would you go to the doctor?
I would find out what's going on. Yes.
Okay. All right. The court is going to deny your application. The court will find you guilty.
Vote 7, the judge's hard line. The judge makes it clear she's horrified and personally affected, especially as a parent, but also tries to parse responsibility. She acknowledges other adults were involved in day-to-day care, yet stresses that adults are ultimately responsible for dependent children. She directly rejects the defense's leniency request. Emotional emphasis. The bench's voice shifts from incredulous to resolute. This is accountability time. Engagement. Should parental ignorance ever be treated as a full legal defense in neglect cases?
I understand that there may have been other issues at play here, as far as maybe the mother was in charge of taking care of your daughter and during the day-to-day. So I am taking that into consideration. I'm going to sentence you to 34 years in the prison.
My God, Veda showed leniency. Well, I suppose in her special kind of way.
Give you credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. There's to be no contact with the complainant. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. All right, we can go off the record. Mr. Kennedy, I understand that you're probably hurt by what happened to your daughter. I do understand that. But children are 100% dependent upon adults. They're dependent on them to feed them. They're dependent on them to clothe them and for them to be educated. And you can't say your responsibility, I'm just outside working, somebody else is taking care of my daughter and I'm not noticing anything. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor. And I wish I did really know what was going on. Like when CPS came by, my caseworker, she gave me all this paperwork and I was reviewing it. It was at that moment that I understood the level of care that she demanded, that she needed.
All right. Well, good luck to you. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
If you are new to my channel, please subscribe as I edit these cases and remove all of the mundane, boring, repetitive stuff. And I even remove the silences, so you get only the juicy bits, which I think are always the best bits. Are looking for another episode.
VO8, verdict, sentence, and protective orders. The court denies the application, finds Mr. Kennedy guilty, and sentences him to 34 years in prison. Credit for time served. The court makes an affirmative finding of family violence, orders no contact with the complainant, and no unsupervised contact with minors. That's a heavy package, punishment plus prevention. Transition to implications. Beyond punishment, the judgment aims to protect and prevent further risk to children.
us providing nutrition. It was due to her being sick that she lost weight.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Isn't it gold that his lawyer never objected to that question, as an easy argument would be that his client isn't a nutritionist or a biologist, but instead keeps quiet, letting his client dig a bigger hole to get filled in with Vader's leniency.
All right,
That's
any
it, John.
follow-up?
A follow-up,
All right, may I
Right.
ask a question?
please.
All right, why was she never placed back in school?
When she was originally taken out of school due to the coronavirus.
All right, and then after
when
that?
we attempted to take her back to school, she could never keep the mask on. She would keep constantly pulling it off. And then they told her to no longer go back to school.
I'm sorry, what?
They told her not to go back to school until she could take care of that.
Okay, all right, so you're saying that they didn't allow her to come back to school because she continued to pull off her mask?
Yes, ma'am.
And the offense date on this is 2023. So help me, in 2023, were students still required to wear a mask?
I do not know, Your Honor.
All right, so you didn't take her back to school in the year of 2023.
No, Your Honor.
And I read the PSI report, and it said that you had personal insurance.
I did. Oh, I did.
All right, so at that time you had personal insurance, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
How often had she seen a doctor?
I believe the last time she saw the doctor was in 2020. And I believe it was on a either annual or dual-annual checkup. I left that all to Norma to take care of.
VO9, professional overview and final questions. Quick recap. Mr. Kennedy was convicted for prolonged neglect and assault, causing serious bodily injury to a special needs child who suffered extreme malnourishment. The judge weighed the timeline. The medical facts, 27 LOBs at age 10, was highlighted. The parents' roles and the defense's pleas, and ultimately imposed a severe sentence, 34 years plus protective conditions. Broader implications. This case illustrates how courts treat long-term neglect of vulnerable children. Factual evidence of harm, not sympathetic explanations, drives outcomes. Final engagement. Was the sentence appropriate given the facts? Did the court strike the right balance between punishment and protecting other children? If this breakdown helped you understand the case, please like, share, and subscribe for more concise courtroom breakdowns. And drop your thoughts below. Who do you think failed the child most? And what changes could prevent cases like this?